what I wanted to talk about today is one of the, it's something I looked on the schedule and I'd actually talked about this back in September, I believe. But it's something I still see happening across, or I suppose I should say, not happening across the board whenever I'm helping agents or our staff with Moxi sites. And they're two of the most important things you can do for your Moxi site. So I wanted to discuss making sure that you set up your it's what's called your Ssl certificate. It is your security certificate, as well as making sure that you are sending your website out to Google, to the search engines. They're both very simple steps, but they are very, very important to the security and to the SEO of your site. So I'm going to go over both of those guys here today. So as always, I really like to shout this out every chance I get, that on Moxi, they have such an amazing support site with all of these guides right there. If I just search SSL, it literally shows it right there, what we're going to go over. So let's talk about how to secure your website. So as you can tell, I am logged into Moxi right now, just on my account. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to go up here across the top and click on My Website. So Hub, Present, Engage, My Website. Now, this is really, to me, and I talk about this when I do the Moxi 101 classes, and I know that our ASCs and RSCs who help set up your sites know this stuff too, but these really are, in my opinion, the very first things you should do when you're working on your site, just so that it's all set up correctly. So I want to see if I can find an example of a site that is not secure. Okay, great. So this is one of our training sites that we have, and I'm going to get my site up in a second here. So this is one of our training sites that we have, and I'm just, I've just on the main page of the site, and if you look up here in the upper left corner, it's probably pretty small on your guys' screen, but in the upper left corner, it says not secure. There's a triangle with an exclamation mark, and it says not secure. If you go to my site, up in the upper left corner here, you have a little lock where on the other one it says not secure. This lock means that it says connection is secure, which means that that SSL certificate is active on my site. Basically what an SSL certificate does is it's this is probably somebody who's super techie would probably be like, that's not how it works. But it basically is like a force field that goes around your site that makes sure that when people are entering their information, that it's done safely and securely, and people can, like hackers, spammers, who those people can't get into it. So, if I'm on this site and I use the Contact Me tab or I sign up for neighborhood news, all that information is secure when you have an SSL certificate. So they're all free, of course. They're all part of the site. You just need to activate it. So what you're going to do when you're in the back of your website, remember, all we did here is we went to my website from my account page here, and this is where we land. We're going to go to these common tasks right here. So again, I always tell people these common tasks are there for a reason. These are things that we've picked to be there. These common tasks, we're going to start by going to the very bottom one. It says apply an Ssl Cert. The very bottom common task, apply an Ssl Cert, and then we're going to click go there. So mine's going to look different, so I'm going to go to the guide here. But if your site is not secure, what you're going to see is something like this post right here. It's going to say, you're going to have an X that says SSL is not yet enabled. And then it's going to say, it's going to have a check there that says flush rewrite rules, blah, 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 blah. And you want to click that button, the go ahead activate SSL. You want to click that. The other thing you might see is one right here that says no SSL detected. Then you want to click this big blue button, request SSL certificate. Basically, if you go to this tab and you see a big blue button, you want to click it. You want to click the big blue button. And then it's going to refresh your site. It might sign you out of your site. It might not. They always give me that warning. It says you may need to log in again. I've actually never had to do that, but I always like to share the warning because they're sharing it with us. And then once it is set up, this is what you're going to see. You see it says detected setup, and there's two green check marks. One that it was detected and one that it was enabled. That's what you want to see. If you see this, your site is all set with the SSL certificate. Boom, nothing to change. You're in good hands. So again, I know that I showed like 3 or 4 different little things. Just to refresh, if you're at the home page here, you want to go to the very bottom common tasks that says apply an SSL cert, and then click go there. If you see any big blue button here, any button that's big and blue and says either of these things, if you see either of these screens, click that button. Click the button, refresh your page. This is what you ultimately want to see, are just 2 green check marks. So just make sure you look for those. So that's the first one. That's the security one. We want to make sure that we get that security up and going there, okay? That's part 1. Part 2 is just as easy. I'm going to go back home, and again, there's a lot of little ways you can tell if you need to do these things. One of those little ways is if you're on my website right here, if you're in the back end, up here across this top bar where it says like my site's visit site, this top bar, you'll see a tab here that says search engines blocked. I have it highlighted in blue right now. It says search engines blocked. That means that my site is not being sent out to Google, Bing, Yahoo, AOL, any search engine. It is not currently being sent out there. Obviously, you probably want that to be sent out. You want people to be able to Google your website and find it. So what we're going to do is we are going to send our sites out to search engines. Now, the Moxi default is that they start with them blocked. The reason is that some people want to make sure their site is completely ready to go the way they want it to be before it gets put out there on Google and before it gets put out there on the search engines. My personal recommendation is to actually do it right away, even if you're still making edits to your site, because search engine optimization, SEO, basically where your page is when someone Googles something, can literally take years to build a solid SEO presence. So the sooner you can get this set up, the better. So what I would recommend doing right away, if you haven't already, is go down here where there's common tasks, but underneath that, it says completing your site activation. And there's a 1 and a 2. So we're going to go into completing your site activation, and then step 1 is make your site visible to search engines. Make your site visible to search engines, and then go there. We are going to click on that. So if you have not done this before, or if yours is currently blocked, this is what you're going to see. My site is blocked, but that's on purpose because I don't need my training site to be pushed out, into the world. So it looks like there's a lot of stuff here. There's only one thing we need to worry about. You don't need to worry about any of these things besides the very last option, search engine visibility. Search engine visibility. It's the very last thing here. You're going to see a box that is for me, it's checked. It says Discourage Search Engine from indexing this site. You want this to be unchecked. You want to make sure that this box is unchecked, it's blank, and then click Save Changes. That means it's going to send it out to those places. It's not going to discourage search engines. It's going to, encourage the search engines. So you want this box to be blank, and then click Save Changes, and that's it. Now, I'm not going to do that again because of my training site, but just to go through that one more time, for the site activation part itself, you want to make sure that you go down to completing your site activation, and then where it says make your site visible to search engines, click Go there. And then from here, you want to go down to search engine visibility, uncheck that box if it's currently checked, and then click Save. And that's it. So again, there are 2 relatively simple things, right? One is clicking a big blue button, one is unchecking a box, and then clicking another big blue button, but they're really, really important to your site. If you are an ASC on here, I would really, really encourage you, but ask you to make sure that when your agents are getting their new agents are being onboarded, that these things are happening to their sites, because it's not something you really want to find out months later or a year or so later, just because it's an easy fix, as you can tell, but the sooner we can take care of it, the better. So just make sure with every new site you help an agent work on, or if you're currently an agent and you've had a Moxi site for a while, I would highly recommend going in to double check that your common tasks the SSL cert, the very last one, is set, and then that you have for the completing your site activation sent your website out to the search engines.